Hey guys, welcome back to Memo Makes. We're working on a 2017 GMC SIERRA. We're going to drop a rough country 7-inch knuckle kit. Now it's a lift kit that does all the suspension front, back. It's got some nice adjustable coilover shocks in the front and some nice adjustable shock absorbers in the back. They both have reservoir. Like I said, they're both adjustable for different tensions. It's a full kit, so there's quite a bit of work to go on it. We're going to break it up into 3 episodes to make them about half an hour long each. We're going to start with the rear, then we'll break the front into two parts. We're also going to put on some method rims that the customer brought for us, ready with the tires mounted and balanced. Now these are some 17 by 9 inch method rims with some BF Goodrich mud terrain 36-inch tires. Really nice looking setup. Stick with us until the end. You will see that this is a nice looking truck there at the end. I'm going to try and have the link for you for the lift in the description. So stick with us until the end. Come back, watch some of our other stuff, and I'll see you at the end of this first part.
Right now. So this is the hardware we've got. Got to put these bigger U-bolts. Here it is. This is the rear gun. Take this off with this clamp. As it does is it grabs onto the chassis here. Alright guys, so we're doing a lift on this GMC SIERRA. Nice suspension lift. I don't remember the inches on the kit right now. Try and set up the specs for you, maybe in the thumbnail, or if not, I'll just voice them over here. So there's a factory look of her. So we're doing this at a buddy's shop. This isn't my job really, it's his, so I'm just going to do the labor for him. We're going to set it up with some rims too. These bad boys right here, Methods, on some mud terrain tires. There she is. Alright guys, this is what we've got. Let's try to focus in on that. Rough Country GM 2014 to 2018 4-wheel drive 1500 7-inch knuckle kit, they call it, because it comes with the front knuckles and everything. Alright, this is what we got. These are the shocks. These are the rear shocks. Reservoir, adjustable. You adjust the tension here. That's it, packed there. That's unpacked. And there is the block kit. These are the new U-bolts. These are the block kits. Now, these aren't those little blocks that you used to see a lot on the lifts. These are some real heavy-duty blocks, and they're angled to compensate for the lift. When you lift it, the differential has to not swing, but tilt a little bit so that the drive shaft isn't under stress. Alright, so there she is, the rear suspension section. We are gonna try and get in. Obviously we gotta undo the shocks, gotta undo the shackles. There's a few pieces that go in here, and I'll show you some of those. We need to pretty much undo everything that's suspension. We need to hang the diff. Obviously it's going to go lower. There's a few pieces that have to adapt. Those lines have to be located, the brake lines, to where we can get to them, and I'll show you some of that stuff when we get. So I got a little bit out in front of you guys. I took off the lower part of the shock, and I'm going to take the upper part of it. You might see my ugly mug in there, but you don't have a choice on that one. And there we go. Out with the Rancho, in with the Rough Country. Next we got to work on these, which is the block and the U-bolts. So we're going to lift the truck up a little bit more to where we can get the stand under the diff so that it doesn't just fly down on us. Alright, so we're back to those U-bolts. I went ahead and took off that other shock. Save you from having to look at me do the same thing twice. So there's the U-bolt bracket. Off come the U-bolts. Out comes the block. So now we've got to get us some space in here to put that other block in. So we'll raise the lift some more because we can't drop the stand anymore. That's the stand there, and that's as low as she will go. So what we'll do is bring up the truck some. Alright, so I think we have to also undo this side. Like I said, I already took off the other shock, so you wouldn't have to look at me twice. So we're going to have to undo this side as well because I can't get enough swing in between here without undoing the other side. I'd hate to yank on stuff, you know, maybe make something crooked and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and loosen this up. Alright, we also need to loosen these up. This is the sensor, the speed sensor. It's up here on the chassis, down here on the diff. So what we're going to do is take this off of this clamp here, get us some space, and we're also going to take off this bracket here which holds the brake lines. See how they're nice and tight? That can't be like that. And then we'll get an additional bracket that goes up here and sets this at a different spot. That'll come down far enough for us to get these lines nice and loose like they're supposed to be. Alright, so we've got to take some 13mm bolts off the top here. This is on the driver's side, obviously. Got two 13mm bolts. I hadn't considered that you were just looking at me. I was in the shout on that one, huh? So, that's it there. Here's what we were doing. We're taking this bracket off of its place. Gonna bend these outward a little bit and get them some distance from the chassis. We're also gonna remove this harness from a couple of the clips, and this one too, which is for the speed sensor. I'll set you down to where maybe you could see me without me blocking. Now that's hopefully on that. Can't only guarantee I'm not going to block you. I'm not sure I'm YouTube worthy yet. So these lines will come down some, so will that one there. And there she is, that's the bracket that'll hold that one. What that does is it grabs onto the chassis here, comes inward and down, and then the bracket bolts onto these two holes. Gives us a little bit of adjustment here, a little bit of adjustment here. So that's it there. Factory bolts up here. Tighten them down with our 13mm wrench. Now we're just going to snug them because we want the ability to swing this forward, backwards maybe, so we can get these in line, set them in place, see that we're going to get a smooth transition. Alright, so this is the hardware we've got. I believe these are 5/16 by 1-inch bolts, washers, and these are some of those lock nuts that deform the bolt once they go in. There's a little bit of a curve on the rounded end there, and that's what keeps it from loosening up. So we're going to put those up there to hold that bracket in place. So let's see if we can set you up so Mr. Bozo doesn't get in your way again. Washer and nut. Washer and nut. Looks like that side's getting tight. Tighten up the opposite ends here. Got a good swing on it, so this is at a good level with the diff. So we'll tighten up the upper ones and hold that base to the chassis. So we got that line. Give us a little bit of a swing here, a little bit of play on the line for the lines for the brakes, and then these we're gonna grab on a little something in a little bit once we clear up the U-bolt problem there. All right, so we're gonna have to squeeze this big boy right in there. So we've got a little bit of a squeezing and pulling and yanking to do. So there's two guides, one at the diff, one at the springs here. So we've got two. Make sure they both engage. So what we've got is we've got a situation where we need to swing the diff a little bit back, put that one in its guide, so we'll give her a little push, and she should go in. First, looks like we've got to loosen up this brake line. It's got a little bit too much yank on it. So we're going to go ahead and take this back out. take care of that brake line. The way we're going to do that is we're going to take this off of its location. That'll bring it down some. That'll give us the slack we need on this brake line. That's the emergency brake line there. So we've got her off of there, and then we're going to put this bracket here. That top end will grab onto where that factory location was, right there like yacht. And then the spring bracket will grab onto the bottom of that. And that's it there. Now with the stock hardware, we're gonna mount that one there. Mr. Bozo had lost the hardware. Here's he found it. Sí, ahí está. Atrás. And that's it there. It gives us a boost and a different angle on the line clamp, on that spring clamp. So that gives us a lot better play on that emergency brake line. So now that gives us plenty of play to put in that base. And in fact, let me get you in close. So that's it there. Now we will tighten up between that and the other one. Súbele aquí. Eso. Al revés. Dale, dale, dale.
Aguanta que no le puedo dar mucho, Memo, porque puedes levantarlo de acá.
So we had our assistant lift it up so we could get some the pin locators up. Then we're going to grab the bolts, the U-bolts, and put them on there to get the squeeze between the block, the springs, and the diff. Alright, so now we got to put these bigger U-bolts, this hardware here, and these little U-bolts grab onto the springs and give us a little bit better grip of the springs to each other. Those smaller ones, what they do is they grip the spring to itself in a certain way, and they give us a little bit better grip to the springs and the block. And then the larger U-bolts, they grab all the way from the springs all the way through down to the differential. So I'll set those up. So we'll see if this is a better shot for you guys. I'll set up the smaller U-bolts first. There we go. Now we got Bozo dropping hardware everywhere. Caught it on my shirt pocket. So we've got those in place. Drop the U-bolts. is here. They grab onto the factory plate. Yeah, you got a shot of that, right? This going in. You got a shot of this one going in, and then so now all of them are in place. We could set the hardware in. I want to just start the hardware or the nuts into the bolts. So these all get set in place, but not tightened. We got the nuts into the larger ones, nut and washer into the smaller U-bolts. So now what we're going to start to do is we're going to start tightening these, obviously the one on the other side. We're going to take them little by little, you know, we'll do the bolts, these a little bit, then these a little bit. When they become snug, then what we're going to do is check the alignment on the pin locators, which locates the block to the diff and the block to the springs, okay? So we're going to give that a shot. Couple of love taps, make sure everything is nice and in place. Alright, so now we're going to tighten up these smaller U-bolts. Again, you want to start these, but you don't want to get them all the way. So once you got them snug, I don't think I got this one too tight. So I'm gonna loosen it up a bit, get some play in there. Do the front one as well. Again, we do want to have a little play in there, so that once we've got them straight, get a good view of them. And we'll tighten them up a little bit more. What you want to do is make sure they're nice and even. So you want to get it to where all these look about the same. Of course, there should be no more play. You should always look at things, make sure they align, look at them from different angles. Now, once we're done with the installation of both sides, the shocks and everything, that's when we're going to torque, alright? This isn't the torquing process. We're obviously going to go through and torque to specs. Alright, so there's the rear shocks here. This is the upper part, lower part. We're going to go ahead and install these bad boys using the factory hardware. Up at the top is just a bolt. There's a receiver for it, threaded receiver up at the top there. Even get you a decent view of what's going to happen here. So I'm going to go up there. Couldn't remember if I had actually pressed record on it, so I'll go ahead and go back there and double check. Alright, so got that there. And we got her all the way in there, hand tightened. Let's get you down here where you can see me to the lower part. Now this we're going to have to bring up, it appears. So we are going to bring up this unit here. We'll grab our nut and bolt so that we're ready for that.
Vamos, baja la torre ya. Para que no esté tensado, güey. Sí, así. Dale.
And so that's the shock there. So we'll go through the other side and we're pretty much done in the rear. Alright guys, so here it is. This is the rear done. Got this side blocks, small U-bolts, larger U-bolts, shock absorber on the passenger side, shock absorber driver side, block, large U-bolts, small U-bolts here, shocks. These ropes right here, they're for factory positioning of the shock, so it doesn't like spring out of place, so it doesn't go to its limits. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to fasten these to a new length. We're going to change the position of this retainer clip, which retains it here in the chassis, and it'll grab a little higher, and then that'll be that.
Okay guys, that's the end of the first part. As you saw, we did the whole rear suspension there in just this one episode. Of course, we didn't mount the tires. We'll mount those up at the end. That's just to keep them out of the way for us in case we need to move something. The truck's on the lift, so We won't be putting the tires on until the very end. I hope you liked it. It's more tedious to do the front. There's a lot of parts for the front suspension. It's a lot more labor intensive than the rear. That's why it breaks up into 2 episodes for the front. Like I said, it's a real nice looking truck at the end. So we'll see you on the next one.